जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा काला चंजी राधा काला चंजी राधे। जय जगन्नाथ जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा। Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada. Jayo Jayo Gurudev, 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 Jayo Jayo Gurudev. Jai Gaur Premanande. Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya, Jayo Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jayo Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Chaitanya, Jayo Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jayo Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya, Jayo Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jayo Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya, Jayo Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jayo Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. So we're reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, and the chapter's name is The Lord's Store of South India. We are on text 127. We had a wonderful lecture by Maharaj last Monday, so I'll continue from there. As we know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu right now on his tour for South India, and he is converting villages after villages, devotees after devotees. He's making people devotees, and just by embracing, giving his darshan and everything around him, making people devotee. And then there is a Kurma Brahman, which is a pretty popular known section of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kurma Brahman, because the instruction given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to him is so significant for most of us, as most of us in this movement of Krishna consciousness are grihasthas. So he'll give few nectarian verses to him so that we all can keep those in our hearts. So verse 127, this is Madhya. It's Bengali and it's not on the board, so I'll just go on reading. Prabhu kohe eiche bat kobho na kohiba, grihe rohi Krishna nam nirantar loiba. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, don't speak like that. Again, better to remain at home and chant the holy name of Krishna always. So why did he say? Because Kurma Brahman wanted to go with Mahaprabhu and leave everything. He was very opulent, as we read, that he had no problem at all in his grihastha life. It's not that he was frustrated and then he wanted to take sannyas or leave home. And, I remember from my Maharaj's life that he got married and then he did not like it as much. And then he told Srila Prabhupada that he wanted to take sannyas. And then Prabhupada says sannyas is not an escape from, it's not an escape route from your grihastha or any sort of responsibility. Then Maharaj was persistent and both side agreed. And then eventually Srila Prabhupada did give the sannyas to my Maharaj. But the thing is that sannyas is not an escape. It is not like, you're frustrated with material. That's more like a Mayavadi sannyasis, because they couldn't get the fun they wanted out of the material world. So now they want the sannyas, because then they don't have to take any worries about this responsibilities and just be free. But it is not a. Of course, Kunti Maharani in Canto 1 says, then when you're materially exhausted is different, and then being frustrated. What often we also feel that okay, like it is not a path of negation. Bhakti is. It's like Canto 1 again says that vairagya, that is detachment, is a byproduct of bhakti. We need not have to have a detachment and do bhakti. It's like you do bhakti and detachment automatically follows. And when we join, they say eat, till you drop, and do bhakti that way. But eventually we understand, if we keep doing that, it will be so hard to come for Mangalarti, to wake up early, etc. And eventually we understand that, it is not exactly what it was told in the beginning. And it is not a lie, because wherever our consciousness is, like there are 5, like Anandamaya Kosha, I don't remember the exact, so Pranamaya Kosha, and then Vijnanamaya Kosha, eventually it's Anandamaya Kosha, that is the spiritual. So eventually wherever our consciousness is, for animal, the basic necessity for them is to be alive. But for human being, it's not that way. We get better and better, and then eventually our consciousness changes. So when we enter, and if I always think it as a, marriage. In the beginning, if the girl were to tell what all she has to do, she will never get married. But as she gets married, as she gets attached to the family and the person and everything else, she feels like doing more and more and more for the family. That's bhakti is also like that. In the beginning, if you were to tell what all exactly is in the front for you to do the services and the austerities and whatever it is, it will be so hard to join. So beginning we say just chant, even if you can't chant, just eat prasadam and have prasadam, kirtan, dance, and then bhakti is all about that. And eventually, as we hear about Goswami's renunciation and all the things that they have done, and we see Raghunath Das Goswami, who barely drank anything, what to speak of eating. And then eventually it does not feel that scary. It says, okay, I'm not there, but that's not too bad, that's the ideal goal. So that's what I always, whenever I thought of bhakti, I always think of marriage that way, the commitment that a girl has to do. If it were to tell in the beginning, okay, you have to do all this, she will never get married. So bhakti is also like that. So we start from a consciousness, and then eventually you bring up the devotees there under the guidance of, expert guidance of bona fide spiritual master and other senior devotees. So this Kurma Brahmana, he said, I want to leave everything. Though I'm very happy, satisfied, but because he understood the value of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, I want to leave everything and come along. And then he said, never ever speak like that. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, don't speak like that again. Better to remain at home and chant the holy name of Krishna always. It is not advisable in this purport. It is not advisable in this age of Kali to leave one's family suddenly, for people are not trained as proper brahmacharis and grihasthas. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised the Brahmana not to be too eager to give up family life. It would be better to remain with his family and try to become purified by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra regularly under the direction of a spiritual master. This is the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If this principle is followed by everyone, there is no need to accept sannyasa. In the next verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advises everyone to become an ideal householder by offenselessly chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and teaching the same principle to everyone he meets. So more an explanation on that, why Mahaprabhu said, don't leave your house, because even amongst our Goswamis, the 6 Goswamis, we see so many different instructions from Mahaprabhu himself. Like for Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he said, don't get married, take care of your parents, and once they have gone back to Godhead, then come back and join me. But similarly, Raghunath Das Goswami, he said, don't become a renunciate like that to show off like a monkey. Go home, get married, do your material duties, the prescribed duties externally, and internally you meditate upon Krishna like a prostitute. Or like a wife who's like always like acting as if she loves the husband, but she has a paramour. Something like that, he gives for Raghunath Goswami, Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami were not even sleeping under the same tree every night because they were scared of being attached to the tree. So we see amongst his own followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, different instructions were given. So whether to become a detached person and then practice bhakti, or whether to remain in the household, it depends on the spiritual master's instruction. We may see some other god brother or god sister doing something else by, instructed by our Guru Maharaj, but then the Guru knows what's, even Srila Prabhupada's, right? Everybody, he had different disciple and different instructions were given. So it is up, that's why we are, this movement. And Prabhupada again and again, so many purports he mentioned this, that, you have to have a bona fide expert spiritual master. Because under the guidance of spiritual master, we'll make sure that we do not become sahajiyas. Because sahajiyas are the one who does not, sahajiya is the one who does not like to do the austerity. He likes to do by mood. If we go to Vrindavan, we'll see so many examples of that sort. But if we have a spiritual master, and you want to do anything, and if we are sincere, like Prabhupada will say, a potent spiritual master and a potent spiritual, a spiritual master who is potent and a disciple who is potent, immediately Krishna consciousness will sprout. This he says in his lecture for Srimad Bhagavatam. So like that, so if the spiritual master is, very perfect, and the disciple, he doesn't ask the spiritual master, he cannot progress as much, and vice versa. If the disciple is very, very, expert in following the instruction, but the spiritual master is not much worried about the disciple's spiritual progress, then it won't go very further. So, when here also Prabhupada is writing in the purport, under the guidance of the spiritual master, one does the duties that's been prescribed, no need to take sannyas. Next one, very, very popular verse, we keep hearing, keep reciting. Jare dekho tare koho Krishna upodesh, amar agyay guru hoya taro ei desh. Instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Shri Krishna as they are given in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. Purport. In this sublime mission of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, many people come and inquire whether they have to give up family life to join the society. But that is not our mission. One can remain comfortably in his residence. We simply request everyone to chant the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. If one is a little literate and can read Bhagavad Gita as it is and Srimad Bhagavatam, that is so much the better. These works are now available in an English translation and are done very authoritatively to appeal to all classes of men. Instead of living engrossed in material activities, people throughout the world should take advantage of this movement and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra at home with their families. One should also refrain from sinful activities, illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. Out of these 4 items, illicit sex is very sinful. Every person must get married. Every woman especially must get married. If the women outnumber the men, some men can accept more than one wife. In that way, there will be no prostitution in society. If men can marry more than one wife, illicit sex life will be stopped. One can also produce many nice preparations to offer Krishna: grain, fruit, flowers, and milk. Why should one indulge in unnecessary meat eating and maintain horrible slaughterhouses? What is the use of smoking and drinking tea and coffee? People are already intoxicated by material enjoyment, and if they indulge in further intoxication, what chance is there for self-realization? Simply, one should not partake in gambling and unnecessarily agitate the mind. The real purpose of human life is to attain the spiritual platform and return to Godhead. That is the summum bonum of spiritual realization. The Krishna consciousness movement is trying to elevate human society to the perfection of life by pursuing the method described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his advice to the Brahmana Kurma. That is, one should stay at home, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and preach the instruction of Krishna as they are given in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. That's a heavy purport. So, few things like, Prabhupada is writing. Sometimes, this is what my personal experience is. So, sometimes when we read few things in the scriptures, it feels very heavy. So I had few girls whom we were reading scripture with last year, and sometimes they will say, I don't like it. I said, whether you like it or not, remember it is true. And keep it in your heart. Today you may not realize it, someday you will realize because it's written in the scripture. You may not like it, that's okay. We can be honest in Krishna consciousness, in bhakti. But don't reject it, that just because I don't like it, scriptures are not there to fulfill my whims. I like it, so it's there, it should be in the scripture. I don't like it, it should not be in the scripture. Scriptures, as Prabhupada is writing in the purport, the scriptures are there to make us real human. Like, so many medicines that we don't like the taste. But if I tell the doctor I don't like the taste, so who remains sick? I remain sick. Similarly, if I say I don't write what's written in Prabhupada's purport or the scripture, who remain not human? Who will not become a human is I. So the loss is mine. And it's a huge loss because I don't know if the next birth I'll be human again or not, and whether I can read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita or not. So even if we don't like it, we can just keep it with us. Okay, this is something that I don't like, but it's anyway there. But have faith that because it is there, or we can also pray to Krishna. Oh Krishna, I don't like what's said there, but I know it's true. But I'm not there. So help me realize it. You can do so many wonderful things, so many magical feats. Why don't you help me realize it's the truth? And with that approach, I feel, scripture becomes more live to us. It becomes more practical. I have so many people, in my relatives, they say, how is Bhagavad Gita practical? I said, if Bhagavad Gita is no practical, there is no practical book in this world. But for that, we have to have the faith first. We start with Adau Shraddha. With the faith we start. With a little faith or more faith, how much ever faith you have, but it has to start with faith. And Prabhupada said, if you have that faith, one day you will see Krishna face to face. So, that's what, if we don't like it, instead of, feeling bad about it or whatever it is, keep it aside in your heart. We have so many things in our heart. So one more thing in the heart. And then eventually Krishna will help us if we have that faith, if we believe what Acharya is saying is, without any mistake. Next verse. Kobhu na badhibe tomar bishoy torango punorupi ei thai pabe mor sango. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further advised the Brahmana Kurma, if you follow these instructions, your materialistic life at home will not obstruct your spiritual advancement. Indeed, you follow these regulative principles, we will again meet here, or rather, you will never lose my company. So in the previous purport, Prabhupada gave all our, what we take the vows during our initiation, the 4 regulative principles, and that those are the don'ts and the do, that we will chant 16 rounds every day on our beads. So the purport for this verse is, this is an opportunity for everyone if one simply follows the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu under the guidance of his representative and chants the Hare Krishna mantra, teaching everyone as far as possible the same principle. The contamination of the materialistic way of life will not even touch him. This does not matter. It does not matter whether one lives in a holy place like Vrindavan, Navadvip, or Jagannath Puri, or in the midst of European cities, where the materialistic way of life is very prominent. If a devotee follows the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if he lives in the company of the Lord, wherever he lives, he converts that place into Vrindavan and Navadvip. This means that the materialism cannot touch him. This is the secret of success for one advancing in Krishna consciousness. Sometimes we feel that, Krishna consciousness is so strict, so difficult. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. But if you hear Srila Prabhupada, that's in the book, but if you hear Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada is very, very merciful. If we were told that we can do only Krishna Bhakti, if you read Hari Bhakti Vilas, and then, NOD, Nectar of Devotion, it says that one should live in these places, Vrindavan, Mathura. If that were applicable for everybody, then we will not be like, so many philosophies are there where you have to be of certain kind to do we will eventually become like that if so many restrictions are there. But what is the mood, what Srila Prabhupada gave us, why Prabhupada is such a wonderful Acharya, because Prabhupada gave the mood behind doing what we do. Why we do what we do is the mood that Prabhupada gave us. So Prabhupada is saying, whether you live in Vrindavan or Vrindavan is there in your thoughts, being Vrindavan in our thoughts is more important than living in Vrindavan. You might be living in Vrindavan and thinking of New York, but the one better than that is you might be living in New York and thinking of Vrindavan. When will I get to go to Vrindavan? When will the holiday happen? And we know this, how many ever days you're in Vrindavan, and those days you remember, and it feels so blissful. So Prabhupada is giving, if you see Bhagavad Gita, so 3 times Arjuna asked Krishna, which is better, sannyas or doing your duties. And there also, if you see, Krishna is telling the mood of sannyas, the spirit of sannyas is more important than the action of taking sannyas. You might be a sannyas but attached. Krishna is saying he's a pretender only. But if you are doing so many things, you are midst of so many things, but you have the detachment that none of it belongs to me. It all belongs to Krishna. That's the mood of a sannyas. Even if you are among so many things and entangled, Prabhupada writes in his purport that a materialist and a devotee may look the same, but their moods are different. এই মতো যার ঘরে করে প্রভু ভিক্ষা সেই আইছে কহে তারে করা এই শিক্ষা. At whosever house Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted his alms by taking prasadam, he would convert the dweller to his Sankirtana movement and advise them just as he advised the Brahmana named Kurma. Purport: the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explained here very nicely. One who surrenders to him and is ready to follow him with heart and soul does not need to change his location, nor it is necessary for one to change his status. One may remain a householder, a medical practitioner, an engineer, or whatever. It does not matter. One only has to follow the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and instruct relatives and friends in the teaching of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. One has to learn humility and meekness at home, following the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In that way, one's life will be spiritually successful. One should not try to be an artificially advanced devotee, thinking that I am a first-class devotee. Such thinking should be avoided. It is best not to accept any disciple. One has to become purified at home by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and preaching the principles enunciated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus one can become a spiritual master and be freed from the contamination of material life. I was hearing a lecture by Srila Prabhupada recently. I think it is 611, but anyway, it is Canto 6. And he was saying, this meat eating, this vegetarianism and non-vegetarianism, this is not so important to us. What is important? If you are always a vegetarian, we prefer a vegetarian over for spiritual advancement over a non-vegetarian. But that is not the real solution. The ultimate solution is to love the God. If you can become a lover of the God, rest will follow. Is what Prabhupada's mood was. So Prabhupada was so liberal now. As soon as person comes, if we try to make them, don't eat meat, don't do this, don't do this. No, Prabhupada is saying that, become a lover of the Lord. You become a lover of the Lord, Lord will make you do everything what's needed. Whether it is renunciation or staying in the home. It is Krishna's duty, but first try to love Krishna. And here also, what really attracts me towards Srila Prabhupada's book is Srila Prabhupada's words. If you hear him or you read him, it never changes. Like Krishna's Bhagavad Gita, it never changed over 5,000 years. So so are Prabhupada's words. If you hear his lectures, he's saying the same thing. For me, if I say something, half an hour I'll say something else. If I'm writing something, that will be something else. But for an Acharya, like a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, no matter how many times he is saying, no matter when he is saying, whether it is 5 years or 2 years or whenever, whatever he said, it is like, in Hindi they say, patthar ki lakir, like a line or a drawing on a stone, which never changes. And Prabhupada says that if one, for 12 years, follows the morning program, like Mangalarti and Guru Puja, the morning program basically, for 12 years, whatever he says will come true, like the scriptures. And he was saying this in context with Narottam Das Thakur. He said, whatever Narottam Das Thakur says is as good as the Vedas, because he followed then he said, if one follows for 12 years the morning program, whatever he says will come true. So of course we understand why Srila Prabhupada's words are always true. So in purport of Canto 1, Prabhupada is writing that, Canto 1, Canto 2, towards the end of Canto 2 or Canto 3 beginning, he's saying that this is material world, it's full of contamination, but how can the vaccine is following Krishna consciousness, like 4 regulative principles and the chanting. And here one more thing Prabhupada is mentioning is humility. One has to practice at home humility and meekness, and then one will be wonderfully advancing in the path of Krishna consciousness. There are many Sahajiyas who decry the activities of the 6 Goswamis, Srila Rupa, Sanatan, Raghunath Das, Bhatta Raghunath, Jiva and Gopal Bhatta Goswamis, who are the personal associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and who enlightened the society by writing books on devotional service. Jai Shri Radha Kalachandji. Similarly, Narottam Das Thakur and other great acharyas like Madhavacharya, Ramanujacharya and others accepted many thousands of disciples to induce them to render devotional service. However, there is a class of Sahajiyas who think that these activities are opposed to the principle of devotional service. Indeed, they consider such activities simply another phase of materialism. Thus, opposing the principles of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they commit offenses at his lotus feet. They should better consider his instructions, and instead of seeking to be considered humble and meek, should refrain from criticizing the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who engage in preaching. To protect his preachers, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given much clear advice in these verses of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. পথে যাইতে দেবালয়ে রহে যেই গ্রামে তার যার ঘরে ভিক্ষা করে সেই মহাজনে কুর্মে যাইছে রাতি তাইছে কইল সর্বঠাই নীলাচলে পুণ্য যাবত না আইলা গোসাই. While on his tour, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would spend the night at a temple or on the roadside. Whenever he accepted food from a person, he would give him the same advice he gave the Brahmana named Kurma. He adopted this process until he returned to Jagannath Puri from his South Indian tour. So he continued this, like, seeing people, taking prasadam, making them devotees by giving his instruction, the instructions that he gave to Kurma Brahman, that do not leave the home, continue your household life, but also continue chanting, following 4 regulative principles, and also trying to become humble and meek. 133. Otoeba iha kohilanga koria bistara ei moto janibe prabhur sarvatra vyavahara. Thus I have described the Lord's behavior elaborately in the case of Kurma. In this way you will know Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dealings throughout South India. Eto mote shei ratri tahai rohila pratah kale prabhu snan koriya cholila. Thus Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would remain at night in one place, and the next morning after bathing he would start again. Prabhu anu braji kurmo bahu dur aila prabhu tare jatno kori ghare pathaila. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, the Brahmana Kurma followed him a great distance, but eventually Lord Chaitanya took care to send him back home. So finally he came to say bye. I don't know how it is, like when we were young, we will also, if we really like some guest, we'll keep going behind him. And we see that in Canto 1 also, when Pandavas were saying, bye to Krishna, they were going behind Krishna. And after certain time, when Krishna said, okay, now they should go back, he will just give a smile, turn back, and he said, now you can proceed to your prescribed duties, continue your services, other services. So similarly here we see that Kurma Brahman was sent back by Mahaprabhu, but with care. So there we are starting another story of Vasudeva Vipra, but maybe we will start it next so that we can get some chunk of it together. So I'll pause here. Please forgive me for the mistakes that I have committed. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhuve vacha patitanam pavneve vaishnaveve namo namah. Please go ahead and correct and add and anything that you would like to say. We have a mic. Sorry, I should have got it. And keep the book open. Now, one scripture I feel like going on and on and on is Chaitanya Charitamrita. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the wonderful class.
Thank you.
So, the topic of humility came up a lot today.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering if you could define what does it mean to be humble and meek? Because some people think that it's like, oh, I'm nothing, right? But then some other people have other definitions, right?
So 2 things. So, you can give what you have. So I can't explain you what humility is because I'm not. But I have heard Srila Prabhupada saying that humility is taking responsibility for Krishna. That is so different than anything I have heard till then. That taking responsibility for Krishna is humility. And we see Prabhupada. It's not he was always going, at least, seeing humble, or he was chastising. He was also, towards the end of his life, now we are reading in the I Will Build Your Temple, that how he is begging forgiveness from his god brothers. Right? But in the beginning he was saying so many things. So as you said that everybody has a different definition for humility. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, right? Trinadapi sunichana tarorapi shaishnuna amanena manadena kirtaniya sada hari. So you be humbler than a blade of grass that you are stepped on, but you don't say anything. Tree, tolerant than a tree. Tree is cut till the very stamp, you're sitting on it, using it completely, but it still continue giving you fruit, even if you don't water it. It doesn't care who gives him water or not, but it continues giving fruit irrespective. And then don't expect respect from anybody, the toughest, and give respect to everybody. This is humility according to Chaitanya Charitamrita, according to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we hear so many gurus and acharyas, repeating this time and again and again. Prabhu, please correct me if I'm saying it wrong. That Shibi Maharaj, in Bhagavatam, this example comes. And when he had to protect, because the king is supposed to protect not only the humans, even the animals, even the other creatures, every living entity. And when he had to save this pigeon, and he went on, he said, I will give as much meat you need from flesh from my body. And he went on cutting his body. So humility can have a very wide range of understanding. But yeah, we can practice. No, we don't insult somebody purposefully. We don't, we don't try to prove somebody lower than us. We mentally also we try to practice that. If it comes, okay, I'm better than that person. I can dress better than that person. I can, cook better than I can sing, whatever. And then you have intelligence. That's why the books are. As soon as that thought comes, you can remember, oh, Chaitanya Charitamrita says, practice humility. Does it sound like humility? No. So maybe I'm not right. Then you may either take shelter of the scripture again, Srila Prabhupada's lecture, or your guru, and get yourself corrected. Did I answer? I don't know how satisfactory.
Yeah,
it's okay?
Yes. Thank you.
But practice is what I personally feel is when we read or hear, keep it in your heart. Even if I'm immediately cannot practice, but when I'm going wrong, it will come immediately to rescue. That this behavior, even if I'm bad, but at least it will tell me this behavior is not good. Eventually we will get into it is what I feel. Prabhu, if you have something to add, please go ahead.
So just to clarify, then Srila Prabhupada said humility is taking responsibility for Krishna.
Krishna is humility.
And so whatever action we're doing, then if it's for Krishna, then that's our humility?
Humility. I will just give an example of Prabhu. He has a service to do. And he has to check on the time. He have to be sometimes really strict and say, okay, you have to be doing it, which may not seem humble, Okay, this Prabhu was just, he was folding his hand in front of me. Now he is chastising me and giving me reminder that do the service quickly, Mataji, or whatever it is. But that's a service for Krishna, so that's humble still, right? He is not doing it for himself. He is doing it for the temple and for the temple to run smoothly. Whatever it requests, whether it's chastising or it's loving or whatever is need of the hour, we do it. And then we don't keep in the heart, and when we go out, we are still friends and, in good relationship. That needs a lot of maturity.
So the focus is Krishna. Yeah, thank you very much.
You have to always ask ourselves, am I saying these things for Krishna or for my own ego? That will help, I feel, Prabhu.
So the question to ask before I act is, am I saying?
And
this
if you already acted, you say sorry to Krishna.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
That's a permutation combination. Yes. So we have to say something to him. And to add something. Okay.
It was a wonderful class. It does make sense when you said you quoted Srila Prabhupada, how he said, humility means accepting the responsibility in Krishna consciousness. So basically, if you just try to, I was thinking, if you try to go to the root, why we came to this world, it boils down to only one thing. We all wanted to take Krishna's position, to lord over, So that position is conversed or reversed by accepting the humble menial position of being servant of servant. So that's how actually when you take the responsibility, whether it is in the temple or back in Krishna conscious family, the household responsibility, your ego is being crushed, and at every moment you get this realization that how you are not the controller. You're being controlled everywhere. So I just wanted to add that. And in the beginning of the class you gave a wonderful analogy of, you compared the marriage, right? So of course those who want to continue the celibacy life, the brahmachari life, this is a lesson for them. Like Srila Prabhupada said, first class intelligent people are those who give simply they give the oral reception. Yes. And they put themselves on alert. So that's a... Okay. But the other side, that you mentioned, it was so beautiful. It was so beautifully connected that you never have any idea before getting into that situation. But once you get into that hardship, then you get several realizations, and then you keep moving forward. And Krishna has created it in such a wonderful way that actually you're marching toward the same goal, you know, like raising children also, just like man. So before having children, you do not have any idea whatsoever. But once you get into that,
And if it is
hardship,
explained to you, we'll never have one.
right, that was such a wonderful connection, Thank you for sharing that. And secondly, you said that sometimes we see heavy text in the scriptures, right? And we wonder, it doesn't make any sense to us. Like I was thinking, Srila Prabhupada, he saw one time in the ashram, right, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his Guru Maharaj. So he ordered one of his disciples to kill the snake. And Srila Prabhupada got bewildered. Why would he, the saintly person is supposed to be compassionate to all living, as you said about Shibi Maharaj. So why would he do that? And later, in due course of time, when I was reading the scriptures, he came across this verse where scriptures are giving the injunction.
Yes.
Of course, our scriptures are never textual, they are contextual.
Yes, yes.
In every context, you have to understand, there is nothing black and white.
Yes.
But he could see that whatever his Guru Maharaj said, it was backed up, substantiated by the scriptures. So that was another point I liked. And third one, you said scriptures sometimes they appear to be very strict, and we see there are so many heavy rules. So I just remembered one time Jayadvaita Swami, he gave a lecture, and in the question and answer session, somebody asked him, so why there are hard and fast rules when the offenses, 10 offenses, right? There are no hard and fast rules for chanting. This is what we hear. And Jayadvaita Swami beautifully he said, there are no hard and fast rules, but there are soft and slow rules.
Very, very good. One thing I was thinking when you're talking about the second point, like, when the comparing is to the marriage, like if you see, somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, or this question was raised where I don't know, but some initially, devotees asked, like, Krishna knows what's good for us, what's best for us, is going back to Godhead. Why doesn't he just take us, make us all? But that's not love. And if you see, love can make you do much more than an authority can. Just think on it, like, for me, if an authority says something, I'll do only as much as told. But if it is out of love, I'll do way beyond even my capacity. So love can make you do much more than authority. So that's why Krishna wants us back, wants us back with love, not with authority. Because it is so easy for him to take us back like this. But that is not our will, our love is not there. So he is just waiting for that love to come. Yes, thank you.
You just made me think of something that our spiritual master told us when we told him when we asked for his blessing to get married. But he said, it was very sweet. I remember he was kind of like, oh, that's nice, you're in love. But he said, real love will come after you make sacrifices for each other. And so it reminds me of your theme of these, rules and regulations, and they're there to, when we make these sacrifices, it builds our bond with Krishna, it builds our bond for our own sadhana, and then the love comes. You can't just like dance around in kirtan and think that that's how you're going to advance and get love of Godhead. It's fun, but you need the sacrifices to build the love.
Yes, that's why Prabhupada called it devotional service. Not just devotion, it's devotional service. So, yes.
One more thing you mentioned about the statement that Srila Prabhupada made about it's not either vegetarianism or non-vegetarianism. So in our scriptures, I was thinking, I heard this from one of our, spiritual leaders, senior spiritual leaders. They mentioned for every rule there is an exception. Right? So, like Garuda, for example, Garuda Dev is pure devotee, right? But he's intake, his snakes, and so that's how he has been made. So yes, these exceptions are there, And whenever, Guru Sadhu Shastra, they mention something, as I said earlier, it's contextual always. It should not be misinterpreted, or, that this is a black and white rule now. So sometimes, we tend to do like, I can talk about another. Prabhupada said this, so, I have the liberty to take now. So every rule has exception, and there is a context, time, place, and situation, how it is applied. But in general, the rule is yes.
Yes.
We need to follow those.
Yeah. That's why it says here and again, right? Under the bona fide spiritual master. So that whenever we are confused, we can go back to his guidance and he can guide us. Because he has taken our responsibility now. So, yeah. So, pause here. Thank you so much. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Brahmana.